Sounds like better put a battery charger on this zombie. Yeah, that's right. It's time to start on this C10 again. Get a little bit of momentum going, because I just haven't been wanting to. And we might change these headlights. Auxbeam reached out to me, and they have sealed beams, and I think I like theirs better. Anyways, this video is going to be some tuning up on the engine. Not all of it, but we're going to be doing a good bit of stuff here. Really, I don't have to take anything off. But I'm doing the water pump, so I think I'm going to take the alternator out. We're just going to go ahead and put all the parts on that I have for on top. I have a pan gasket for underneath, but I'm not going to do that right now. But I want to get the Edelbrock intake. I want to get the new valve covers, the water pump. I do have a new fuel pump, but that one looks like it's fairly new, and it works good. Another thing is I have a carburetor rebuild kit, and I had all the intentions to rebuild this carburetor, but I've talked to several different people now, and I quote, "If the quadra-junk runs right, don't touch it." I've been told that by, it was 2 different people. If that quadra-junk runs right, don't touch it. And it runs really good. As you can see, it's very responsive. It runs like a top whenever you're going down the road. It's good. It's just the base gasket is leaking. So that's what I'm going to replace, is the base gasket. I might do a couple other small things, but I'm not going to tear into the carburetor because I was told to not touch it. So although I haven't done it yet, I need to get wiring loom because I got a bunch of wiring to redo. Also, on the dash, my low beam indicates high beam and high beam indicates low beam on my dash, so I need to swap those around, but that's not really a big deal. Another thing I'm going to do, since there's like no vacuum stuff, emissions crap on here, I'm going to get rid of this canister, and there's some lines and stuff there that I don't even think run to anything. I think we're going to go ahead and do away with those. Yes, and there's also some lines here, and one of them is plugged with like a bolt. I need to figure out where that goes to and eliminate that. It comes out of a tube that looks like it goes back to the transmission, but there's also a transmission dipstick right there, so I don't know what is going on there with that. And if it was like some sort of transmission cooler, there's already a cooler built into this, and I already have it plumbed up. Alright, fresh new day. I actually feel pretty good, and I'm ready to rip into this thing. I think before I start working on this engine, I'm going to take the hood off, and I think I'm going to go ahead and remove the fenders too, because obviously we have new ones. So, yeah, let's get into that teardown. It should make this a lot easier. I should be able to get into everything really easy then. So, yeah, I think that's the smartest plan of attack. Let's go ahead and do that. Go figure, the very last bolt in this fender is going to be the one that sits in there and spins and doesn't want to let go. I'm going to get a chisel out and hammer on that thing. It doesn't really matter if I mess this fender up. We got replacements, but yeah, it needs to get off there. not too bad. We've got lots of room now for activities. Anyways, yeah, there's plenty of room here, and the body itself is in excellent shape. Well, that's a good thing. There was some shims up here and a shim over here for the fender to move it in and out or whatever. I'm not sure if we're going to need those for the new fender. We might. Who knows? Wasn't any shims anywhere else. With the new fender, we're going to have to fabricate something. As you can see, what I did here was cut this out. We're going to have to do that again, but I want to make it nice. So, might have to cut it flat. And this is thicker metal, so it's a lot easier to weld to. And then I'll make a plate to go across the back side of this and tack it in, weld it in, and we should be good there. But I need to leave just a little bit more. As you can see, I cut that pretty thin. And yeah, we didn't hit on that fender anywhere. We hit on this. This was everywhere we were hitting whenever I was driving it. And you can see it as clear as day where the tire was rubbing. It was hitting that bolt there and inside of this. So this tub needs to be, it was hitting pretty high up. It needs to be taller and more square. I would really love to replace these with plastic and not put metal on. I'd save a lot of weight, and it'd be a lot easier. These fenders have a solid mount here, a solid mount down there, and then they bolt to the front structure of that in like 3 places. So they're a very solid piece and shouldn't need any extra help to be held on there. But all these bolts through the inner fender well there, we could replace them all with plastic clips or something if, say, I could find a plastic liner. And then you wouldn't have to worry about it rusting out as well. Only thing with that, then I'm going to have to fabricate a bracket that comes off the fender to hold the coolant bottle and the battery hold down. Now, the battery hold down does bolt in 2 spots on the fender, so that's pretty solid, but then there's another one that bolts on this plastic fender. So yeah, we'll figure it out here. If need be, we can come up off of this support here and the fender and fabricate something. The battery tray, although rusty, is still very solid, so there's still a lot of metal there. So I shouldn't have to refabricate that. I'll clean it up, maybe throw some spray paint on it just to get it looking nicer. But we'll figure something out here that we can attach that to the fender first off, but then we're gonna have to figure out some other way to mount it. But anyways, we got to do the same thing on the other side. Only downside with this one is there's a washer bottle, which is no big deal, and then all the wiring harness clips. There's a whole bunch of wiring harness clips that have to come off of it. Besides that, that inner fender actually looks like it's in really good shape compared to the other one, but and it still has an original sticker on it, which is pretty neat. But yeah, it's got to go. one thing's for sure, they don't build vehicles like this anymore. This thing was built tough. Like, it could take a hit and keep going. All the bolts are big bolts. All the metal is heavy metal. Even though stuff rusted, it was still on there solid. And some of the stuff that's rusted is still not rusted through yet because the metal is so thick. They built these things really tough back in the day. They don't build anything like this anymore. Not new pickup trucks. Nothing. As you can see, I have plenty of room to work now. It's very, and I mean, if you want to get really in depth, you can take the front cone off of here, this front clip, and you're like, yeah, plenty of room. I don't know what that vacuum line runs to. It ran to the back, but there's no other vacuum lines on here. So, like, I don't know. There shouldn't be any vacuum coming from the back. So, I have the line disconnected. We might just be capping that off and doing away with it. Washer bottle, all the wiring harness and everything got just kind of setting here. But it's just going to be a lot easier to work on this. But I'm not doing that today. I'm still going to do it in this episode, but I'm going to do it tomorrow. Because, like, I know this is playing in the future, but this is actually New Year's Eve. I kind of want to spend the evening with my wife. So I'm going to go hang out with her for a little bit. Not that I don't like you guys. I just kind of like her a little bit more. Plus, she's pretty. But yeah, as for the fenders, they look like they were two different color fenders. One's light blue and one's dark blue. That's on the inside of it. So I'd say they're off of two different vehicles. Plus, they were all shimmed anyway. So this thing, from the factory, I don't think they had shims in them. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I got every bolt out with the exception of the one inner fender bolt down here. Thankfully, the inner fender was rotted out the whole way around it. So when I would turn it, it was starting to turn the body that it mounts to. So I'm going to give that some time to soak in some PB Blaster and maybe use some heat and stuff here in the future. But since it was rotted the whole way around, it still came off. So it was no issue. All right. This thing is getting tore down tonight. I have a couple hours. Let's get this thing tore apart, and we're going to end this episode there. Alright, so the way a Chevy 350 is, your cylinders are labeled as such. Odds on the driver's side, evens on the passenger side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Firing orders, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. It's a common thing. I'm going to go ahead and take all these plug wires. All the plug wires are actually in really good shape, but we need to like clean up all of this. So I'm going to be removing that to, to get this all cleaned up. Plus, we're taking the distributor off and everything else. So hopefully, I can get everything all lined back up whenever I put it back together. But I guess we'll see. And I'll tell you, one thing I have not ordered for this thing yet is spark plugs. And these spark plugs are old and they're rusty. I'm probably going to get whatever plugs in it, as long as they're not a Champion. I'm going to probably go with whatever plugs in it, but we need to take those out so I can order those because I don't have them at the current moment. So I already have a problem. This, where the carburetor goes on here, the base gasket, you can see how the original one is. It has 4 slots. This is actually what came off, and it doesn't look bad at all. The carburetor actually was a little bit loose, which is probably why it was leaking. But, yeah, that's what was on it. So, look at this. Put it on there. It does not seal on there. There's a gap on both sides, just a little bit. And the kit that I got right here is no better. It's the same deal. So this is the kit I got, and yeah, you can see right here. I can see my finger through there, just barely at the edge of that one. If I bring it over, it's just not going to seal. So I need to find a base gasket for the Edelbrock, so that this will seal off. This carburetor also needs a serious cleaning. We might still replace some gaskets. I don't know. Yeah. It looks fairly clean on the inside, though. It's just the outside needs cleaned up. So, I guess we'll have to see what we're getting into here. Problem fixed. Advance Auto has one in stock, an adapter plate that goes on there with a gasket on each side. So let's put more gaskets in the mix so they can leak. Anyways, so we will not be using that base gasket, as we're going to have an aluminum plate on here. Unfortunately, the square one they had was out of stock. I would have had to wait for that. I don't really want to wait for it. So it's going to be an adapter to fit the bottom of that carb, and it tapers in so that all 4 ports come in right into the square body, and then it has all the gaskets and everything. So we're set there. So now let's clean up some of this wiring here. Maybe I'll get the alternator off, clean up some of this wiring. We'll drain the coolant, so we can get the thermostat out, because we're changing that. We'll get the distributor out, and then we'll get the valve covers and the intake off. Well, this is a good thing to note. This radiator hasn't been on here but like a month or so. Look at this. The cap. A rust in there already. That's really, really nice. Good job, Alloy Works. Make your caps better. Thank you. So I need to clean up a lot of the wiring on this. I did order loom to protect everything, and not all my water's going in my pan. Let this drain down a little bit until I can get this radiator hose off without making a huge mess. Actually, it should be down far enough to not make a huge mess. I don't know. Getting down to the bare bones here. A couple more zip ties to cut off, a couple more things to get out of the way, get the distributor out, and we should be about ready to rip everything off. Now that I got everything off there, like, that motor looks so tiny in this big old truck. But I broke down and I ordered a new cap and rotor. There's some wear on that. There's some corrosion and wear on the inside of this. One of these wasn't even clipped in. It's broken. This cap's broken right here. They had the wire zip tied up in here. So I'm like, let's just go new. I need to spend a little bit of money on this thing and not cheap myself out, because this is not going to be a cheap ride. It's going to be a nice ride. Anyways, we're to the part where I just need to get the distributor out, the throttle bracket, and then we can start lifting things off of here. I might set the intake and the valve covers on before we end this episode, just so we can get a sneak peek of what it's going to look like. I think it's going to look really good, though. Oh yeah, I ordered spark plug wires too. I went with the original AC Delco. They were like 65 bucks. MSD ones would have looked fancy, but I don't really want fancy colors on the wiring, if you know what I mean. So, like, we're covering up all the wiring you can see with loom. It's going to be black, so the spark plug wires are also going to be black. The distributor cap I got is black. So, it's just going to look more plain and not have, like, random colors everywhere. Distributor gear looks wonderful. No extra wear on that at all. I actually had a truck that the teeth were wore down so bad it was making it skip and miss, and it was the gear wore down. It was an S10. Didn't know what it was for the longest time. Figured it out. That was fun. There, now we're down to the meat and potatoes. So all we have left, ooh, don't lose that throttle spring there. I gotta get that. That would have been a catastrophe. Okay, so put that up there, we're gonna need that. All I have left, 4 bolts on each valve cover. Pop those off, see what the inside looks like. And then 1, 2, couple bolts here and there. And then we can set this, I'm just gonna set this on there with the valve covers, and we're gonna get a glimpse of what this is gonna look like. It's gonna look a lot better. The engine still needs to grease. I'll do that after it's all back together and stuff. You would think you would have did that before you tore it down, but Dum here didn't. But it still would have leaked oil in the meantime. So, yes. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but the inside of this motor is freaking beautiful. It is in really, really good shape. All the rockers feel good. Everything feels good. It looks really clean inside. So that is something that I'm really thankful for. That is awesome. I need to get a vacuum in here. I don't want to get any of this crud from the outside of the engine on the inside of the engine. That is absolutely beautiful. Now, let's take all these bolts out and get this cruddy thing off of here. I think before I do that, I should probably bolt down these new valve covers. It would keep the dirt from going inside there, and I don't want that to happen. So, yeah, I'm actually gonna go ahead and bolt the new valve covers on. Let's do that. Alright, so I realized 2 things while I was doing this. Number 1, I'm an idiot. Number 2, I got these hold downs here, these metal hold downs, which distribute the clamping force of the valve cover a little bit more evenly. I ordered a pack of those thinking it was for both sides, and it was not. I also lost a bolt. One of my bolts fell and fell into oblivion. It's in the truck somewhere. The truck ate it. So, anyways, with those clamps, I need to get bigger, longer bolts, which I think Advance Auto sells those in packs. So, I'm going to look online. But I did order some things from there. So, I'm going to go ahead and look and see if I can find the bolts, valve cover bolts. I don't know what length I need, but whatever. I just have them on there temporarily because they're going to have to come back off. But for the different bolts and for the clamps and stuff. But let's get this intake cover off, and that's where we're going to end it. Man, this motor just looks better and better every time I get into something. Oh, look how clean the inside of that thing is. Now, there is a lot of junk. There's like a baffle on the bottom of this. And look, these intake gaskets were shot. But, oh, this thing is so heavy. We're upgrading. Right there, that baffle, it is filled with junk and crud. And thankful we're getting rid of that. And then on top of that, those back two coolant ports at the very back, they were plugged with crud, like rust, and the vacuum cleaned them out. So now you can see inside both of these now. And yeah, they were both pretty much plugged shut. So, you know what? Are they blocked off on this? Yeah, that's why they're... Never mind. That's why they were all crudded up. They're blocked off. Do I know what I'm talking about? No. Anyways, I'm going to clean these old gaskets up and just set them in there. And then I'm going to set the Edelbrock intake in here so we can get a quick glimpse of what this is going to look like. Anyways, my battery's dying, but that is a vast improvement over what it did look like, and I am excited to keep going on this. We have a water pump, we have all the gaskets to replace here, we got sensors to put in, all kinds of goodies. My battery's dying, so I gotta make this quick. So if you like this video, smash that like button, consider subscribing. Hit that dislike button if your mom likes to expose her front a little bit too much. We'll see you on the next episode on Wrecked.
Estradiol, free testosterone, progesterone, and cortisol. By the way, I'm like, you know what? Let me back out, guys. I forgot to drop this. Let me drop this in the Slack feed. I didn't think about that. I'm sorry. That should already have this. Let me drop this a little further on the side. Let me drop this.
Yeah.
I actually total free estradiol DHA.
Let me see, bye.
Should